Today I'm going to show you how to make chicken soup. Now, I don't know who invented chicken soup, but God bless them. It was probably the Greeks. It had to be the Greeks. This is going to be so simple and so fast. It may be the shortest video I ever make. We prepped the onions, the carrots, and the celery in advance. When the soup is done boiling, I'm going to show you a few extra techniques that you can use to give you that chicken soup a little bit of pizzazz that'll set it apart from any chicken soup you've ever had. Really simple. I pre-washed my chicken thighs, dump it in the pot, have my carrots and celery prepped, dump that in the pot, have my 4 onions prepped, dump that in the pot. Just want to cover it with water. And that's done too. Okay, now let's move on to our spices. I'm just gonna put some sage in there. Again, organic sage. I would say the equivalent of maybe a tablespoon and a half. In this pot, we're gonna throw in 4 bay leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, really significant difference in the organic. I'm gonna do an episode explaining why organic herbs are far better than non-organic herbs. But in here we just have sage and bay leaves. We covered everything with water. We'll give it an incorporation over here. Throw it on the stove, bring it to a boil, cover it, let it simmer until the chicken thighs fall apart, and then I'm going to show you what you can do to really make this chicken soup be set apart from any chicken soup you've ever had. Let's take a look and see how our chicken soup is actually doing here. Oh, look at that. Look at that bubble. All right, see? All right, look at that. So, chicken is falling apart. That looks amazing. Carrots are mushy. Celery is almost perfectly translucent. All right, this is ready to go. I'm gonna lower it just a little bit more. I just want it to simmer at this point. Cover it up, I don't want to lose any more of that precious juice. All right. That chicken soup is ready. All you have to do to make it the basic of basic chicken soups is to add some Celtic sea salt to that. But I'm going to show you a bunch of different things that you can do to make that soup explosive. My first trick, which I showed you in a previous video, was ginger. If you add a little tiny bit of ginger to that, the flavor will explode. So that's one thing we're definitely going to do. The second thing that you may want to do to chicken soup is make it a little creamy. And the way you can do that is by adding a little bit of arrowroot to it. That will make it thicker. Rather than add salt to the chicken soup, you can use this Better Than bouillon that's available from Costco. I buy 4 cases of this a week and use it in my restaurant. That would take the chicken soup to a different level, would give it a different flavor profile. My favorite technique is Avgolemono. That's a Greek way of making chicken soup. Avgo means egg. And I have my beautiful organic eggs here from a local farmer. And lemono, which you can guess is lemon. So once you add the arrowroot to thicken that, if you don't want to have milk, you don't need to add milk to it. The recipe does call for milk. I'm not going to put it in there. But you put arrowroot to thicken it. I'm going to use a little chicken base in there. Now, since I'm going to be adding lemon, the problem is that the ginger doesn't do very well with lemon. It doesn't do good in acidic soups. It doesn't do good in acidic entrees. When the acid is gone, and you add a little bit of ginger to that, the flavor is amazing. So I'm not gonna add so much ginger to this, just a little tiny hint of it. I'm gonna add all these. You can subtract whatever you want. You don't wanna add the arrowroot, you want it to be thinner, you don't wanna make it avgolemono, that's an option. You wanna just add some ginger to it, or say you don't like the ginger, which I don't understand why anybody wouldn't because it's spectacular, and you just wanna add a little Celtic sea salt, you're all set. Let's begin by adding some arrowroot. I eyeball this. Basically, in that giant pot of soup, you're going to want about 2 to 3 tablespoons of arrowroot. That's about right. And you have to mix it into cold water. I use this little fun Italian device I picked up from Amazon. You could use a regular whisk, would work fine. All right, I'm gonna whisk in our arrowroot. And when this comes to a boil, the arrowroot is gonna give it a silkiness and thicken the soup just a little bit without adding or imparting any flavor to the soup whatsoever. You can see right now that the chicken soup is starting to thicken. I'm going to show you an easy way that I use to separate my egg yolks. When we make Avgolemono soup in the restaurant, we actually we make a vat of it. We go through a lot of that soup. So it might be necessary to separate a ton of egg yolks. Like when I make my own homemade gelato at the restaurant, I make it the old-fashioned way with egg yolks. I need hundreds of egg yolks. So the way I do it is I crack the eggs in one bowl, and then I lift up the yolk, and that's it. I let the whites flow through my fingers. Sometimes it takes a little longer. For the most part, you just transfer it from hand to hand, and you'll be left with the yolk. Now, how much lemon we're gonna add to this is directly dependent on what makes you happy. Because some people like their Avgolemono soup a little lemony, some people don't. I, from experience, and also depending on the quality of the lemons, know how much to put in. Usually to that pot, I'm gonna use the juice of about 1 lemon. Now, it all depends on the lemon too. In the winter, lemons are much more juicier than in the summer. So I'm just gonna squeeze the juice into there. I don't really care about the pits being in there. In my restaurant, we strain them, but it doesn't bother me. I'm home. You may want to just strain this. And looking at this, I'm gonna go with 1.5 lemons of juice. That's about what I'm looking for, probably around 1/4 cup of lemon juice. That last lemon probably put out like 400 pits, so I'm just gonna scoop them out. Stupid, should have just strained them in the beginning. I'll just take them out. No one will have to complain about that. All right, I'm just gonna whisk this together. So this is simply egg yolks and lemon juice. You don't wanna add this directly to the Avgolemono soup. You wanna add some of the Avgolemono soup to the eggs so you could temper the eggs. Otherwise, it's gonna become like egg drop. You whisk in a little soup, get it warm, get it up to temperature, and then you add it back into the soup. It's gonna take about that much. I think that's a good amount. Could have actually added it before I put the arrowroot in it. I'm just gonna whisk it in there, make sure it's boiling, so this way I know that there's not gonna be a giant clump of chicken base floating around there. And it really does dissolve fairly quickly. So let's leave it like that. See how nice and stringy our chicken is? Ready to go. While that's boiling up, take my ladle here, drop it on the ground. Let's rinse that off. Oh, I'm gonna put a little bit of soup to that. Kind of stir it in like that until I get my hand on the whisk. Whisk it in. Another ladle full in there. Whisk it in. I'm tempering the eggs. I don't want the eggs to break. I think one more ladle should do it. Whisk it in. Now I'm going to whisk in the egg, the tempered eggs and the lemon, nice and slow. Oh, look at that. Look at that color. Look at that thickness. Look at how beautiful that soup looks. That chicken soup is off the charts. It is the most delicious chicken soup you will ever have in your life. Keep some at home, keep some in the freezer so you can reheat on a cold day, or if you have a cold, bring some to work, give some to the kids. You can't beat it. Thank you for tuning in. Watch the other videos that I have that teach you how to prepare chicken in other ways. So fast, so easy, you'll never want to leave the kitchen. Thank you.